and good morning, everyone. As Jason said in his remarks, the Executive Council approved a resolution to reduce the dues rate for our pilots from 1.85% to 1.55%. The resolution will be discussed in Delegate Committee and then brought to a vote by the entire Executive Board. If passed, it goes on to the Board of Directors in October, and if codified there, it would go into effect January 1st, 2027. I wanted to highlight a couple of the parts of the package beyond just the simple reduction to 1.55%. As part of our study into a dues rate reduction undertaken by the Structure, Services, and Finance Review Committee, or SAFER, we took a more global look at ALPA's finances, the allocation structure, and our MEC and LEC budgets. When we moved from 1.9% to 1.85% on January 1st, 2020, there are a number of patches and workarounds necessary to keep things working smoothly. So when the SAFER Committee first started exploring this reduction, we made it a priority to study and adapt the entire structure so we wouldn't need these workarounds. This, I might add, will simplify any further adjustments in the future and should simplify any adjustments in the future should the circumstances arise. There are three major changes along with the reduction to 1.55% as part of this proposal. First is the removal of off-the-top funding for the Operating Contingency Fund, OCF, the Major Contingency Fund, MCF, Canada Board budget, and the ALPA magazine allocation. In the proposal is a new funding model for the Canada Board budget. Second is a change to the allocation percentages for the spending limit account categories. I know just spouting off percentages won't mean much, so I'll break down the key points, and you can see the full comparison here on the screen. SAFER determined that our current usage rate, the OCF, no longer needs aggressive funding. Therefore, we reduced the allocation percentage of the OCF from 3.5% down to 0.5%. We also looked at our Administration and Services account, or A&S budget, and determined that we could reduce the allocation percentage down from 57% to 54% while maintaining our excellent staff and resources. What these three actions allow us to do then is increase the allocation to our MECs from 37.5% to 43% of the total budget. For our LECs, the allocation rises from 2% to 2.5%, which will ensure that LECs do not see a reduction in funding. The third major change is an update to our MEC dues income tiering structure that determines your specific MEC's allocation. We've increased the number of tiers to create more gradual steps as your pilot group grows, doubling it from 6 to 12. Our goal is to minimize as much as possible the impact of the dues reduction on our pilot groups. With these changes, we expect very little difference, if any, to your MEC budget from year to year. The increase in the allocation to MECs is expected to closely offset the anticipated reduction in total dues from the lower dues rate. There are a handful of other adjustments included in the resolution, and you can learn about those in Delegate Committee. I do want to highlight one, however, a safety valve, so to speak. If, at any point, we see a very significant decrease in the total dues revenue for 2 years in a row, we've included a snap-up clause that will increase the dues rate by an equal percentage up to a maximum of the current 1.85%. Including this helps protect us from future major industry downturns. As stated earlier, this was a years in the making process. I'd like to thank the members of the SAFER Committee, ALPHA's Finance Department, and the Executive Council for their hard work putting this resolution together. It goes back to our stated goal in 2015 of replenishing the OCF and the Major Contingency Fund and the concrete actions taken to fulfill that goal. More importantly, it goes back to the bargaining strength we've shown by working together, sharing successes, and helping each other take the next step up the ladder of pattern bargaining. Those successes and our strong financial position led us to this point, where it's not just doable, but financially responsible to make a significant reduction in our members' dues rate. And we can do it while still providing the same level of resources and support we have all come to expect. Over the past decade, ALPA has nearly $750 million in net income. And yes, that's a billion with a B. That includes both actual dues over budget and strong growth in our investments. Last year, our actual dues of $384 million and our investments helped create a net surplus of $159.7 million. So far this year, through February 28th, we've taken in $84.7 million in actual dues and have a net surplus of $53.4 million. It's important to note, by the way, that many airlines conduct their profit sharing in February, which adds to our early yearly totals. That's a tongue twister to say. And much of our spending is later in the year, such as this year's BOD, as well as the Air Safety Forum. We've used and continue to use these funds wisely. As I said earlier, we funded the OCF and MCF from off the top. As of February 28th, we have a balance of $81.6 million of the OCF and $151 million for the MCF. We created a headquarters building fund in the MCF that allowed us to purchase a new headquarters for ALPA. The building is a short distance from here, and you will be able to tour it later today. Our current balance for the building fund after the purchase is $1.4 million, with an additional $8.3 million in projected allocations by the end of 2026. These funds will be used for renovations to bring the new space to our specifications, all while still offering a return to dues totaling nearly $100 million to our members over the past 2 years. That's another reason this dues reduction makes sense. And today, as Jason noted, the Executive Council voted to implement an offer to return dues for the 3rd consecutive year. While it was a lot of work, the dues reduction wasn't the only thing the SAFER Committee has been working on. You've seen literally dozens of resolutions over the past 3 years from this committee, and I'm proud to look back on the work that we've done and the improvements we've made to ALPA's financial practices and policies. There are a few additional resolutions before you I want to highlight. The first is yet another update on the ability for our LECs to spend their allocated money. We've introduced a set of criteria that will help guide when an LEC is eligible to open its own office space. We've also clarified the policy for our MECs and LECs regarding charitable contributions and sponsorships when they are permissible. The final two relate to our offer to return dues. The first creates a policy that if a member enters a dues deferred classification with an outstanding obligation owed to ALPA and receives the offer to return dues, the money owed will be deducted from that offer and any remaining amount will be offered instead. The second addresses members who do not accept the offer. And yes, we've had a few numbers this year that have not accepted the offer. It's typically due to a bad mailing address, even though providing the current mailing address is required by the Constitution and bylaws, or not providing the legally tax required information in Canada. Currently, if that return is not accepted within 360 days, the money is returned to ALPA and the member must appeal the Executive Council to receive it. The resolution this week seeks to simplify that process, allowing the VP of Finance to approve such dispersals with a report to the Executive Council on any action taken. As with the dues reduction resolution, you can learn more about these in the Delegate Committee. Overall, it continues our focus on putting practice into policy, streamlining processes, and providing common sense updates on how you spend your money. ALPA is in a strong financial position. For those of you interested in the detailed financial charts with more information regarding the numbers I shared today, you can find them on the Executive Board website. We have done a tremendous job, in my opinion, of taking our strong finances over the past decade and strengthening our association overall. We've added important new resources that benefit all pilots. We've increased support for our MECs, such as new ways to use the MCF in mediation or conciliation and through contract implementation grants. We've done it all while being responsible stewards of our pilots' money, including offering to return dues across the board for the first time, really first 2 times, and soon to be 3 in ALPA history. It's been a group effort, and of course, so once again, I want to thank the SAFER Committee for their work, as well as the Finance Department. I want to thank each of you and your fellow MEC and LEC officers for raising your hand and helping your fellow pilots and for being part of ALPA's strength. And I'd be remiss if I didn't announce it. You know, it's been an honor working with you, Sean, Andy, Ryan. It's been an honor and privilege working with you guys. You truly will be missed. I have no doubt that you will land on your feet, hopefully at an ALPA carrier, and we'll see you again volunteering very soon. If there's anything I can do or we can do to help, please don't hesitate to ask. With that, thank you.